WHCT.mail. WHCT presents news you can use.
Is that yours?
Don't touch it, it's Uncle Rico's.
What's it for?
It's a time machine, Napoleon. We bought it online.
You're right.
It works, Napoleon. You don't even know.
Have you guys tried it yet?
No. So are you ready?
Yeah, hold on. I forgot to put in the crystals. Okay, turn it on. Kills! I'm back! Kills! Turn off! It's a piece of crap, it doesn't work.
Well, I could have told you that.
On July 20th, 1988, the Hickory Community Theater opened its second performance space, the Firemen's Kitchen, with a production of Pump Boys and Dinettes, produced in association with Foothills Performing Arts. During the renovation, the concrete platform that originally held the actual kitchen used by the firemen was converted to a stage, and seating for patrons was arranged at long banquet tables. Originally, the kitchen was conceived as a dinner theater with, believe it or not, a smoking section.
Well, Tina, it was really Craig Copper, the late Craig Copper, who was a project architect on the renovation, that found the spaces that created the Fireman's Kitchen, as we mentioned. The actual kitchen area is what is now the stage, and the audience area was a dirt floor storage area that city landscapers used to store their landscape equipment and even plant bulbs. And Craig found an abandoned public restroom that we broke through a wall and created the bar area. So, as we mentioned, we did a dinner theater for the first year or so, but after that, it was a question of, do you have good dinner or good theater? But it was difficult to be able to do both. So we abandoned the dinner theater idea and went to cabaret tables and started serving snacks, and you got involved.
I did, and I can remember vividly bowls and bowls of peanuts and pretzels, and really good tips, which of course went right back to the theater.
Good for you. Well, we did discover in the early years of the Fireman's Kitchen, we experimented with the programming down there. For instance, I remember Doug Robichek, the humorist from Charlotte Observer, who wrote a one-man show that we did down there. And it expanded, and we realized that there was a wide variety of things that we could do down in the kitchen, and gave us all kinds of directions to take it from that we've done up the years since then. Musicals, dramas, comedies.
One of those early kitchen shows was The Fantastics, with Bill Anderson in the cast. Sadly, we would lose this great supporter and fabulous talent before the decade was out. Although the date of its inception is not known, the Vacation Extravaganza, originally known as the Cruise Raffle, was Bill's biggest cause, and he pulled out all the stops to ensure success every year. In 1991, a very special honor was bestowed on HCT. For the first time, the North Carolina Theater Conference bestowed its annual honors on our fair company with its Leadership Award.
I'd vote for you.
In addition to the Fireman's Kitchen, the renovation opened up another space for HCT, the rehearsal hall. Up until then, the plays were rehearsed at a variety of locations, including garages and the vacant second floor of a local bar. The first play to use the new hall was The Glass Menagerie in 1988, and its cast inaugurated the tradition of signing the rehearsal hall wall.
That looks awesome.
With an entire building at its disposal, the theater was really exploring its potential. 2 performance spaces made it possible for the season to grow beyond 6 shows a year. There were 13 productions in both the 1989-90 and 90-91 seasons, 12 in 91-92, and then settling down to 9 or 10 shows per year for the rest of the decade.
Of course, to support this kind of growth, we had to build our volunteer base as well as our staffing, and often staffing grew out of our volunteer base, but our volunteer base was largely the work of the late Sam Eisenhower, a much beloved head of our volunteer organization, and Sam built such a strong volunteer program that won a Governor's Award.
It was the Governor's Award for Outstanding Volunteer Service, and not only did it recognize Sam and all the work that he had done for us, but all of the many hundreds of volunteers, and at that time there were hundreds of volunteers that put all their effort into making HCT what it eventually is today.
Yes, and they are still there. Bless them. And a good example of talking about a volunteer growing from a volunteer to staffing is Jenny Donahue. And Jenny started off working in wardrobe with us. Then she became a costumer, and then she moved on. And finally, when Sam passed, she became the volunteer coordinator as well as our bookkeeper, sold program ads, and Jenny is still active today as a production secretary for us.
As the years marched on, HCT was approaching a huge milestone. The 1999-2000 season would mark the 50th anniversary, and plans began hatching early on. The season kicked off with a revival of the very first full-length production, You Can't Take It With You, and ended with a revival of the biggest selling show in HCT history, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. But it was a bittersweet time as Charles Jeffers had announced his plans to retire at the very beginning of the season.
Well, Susie had retired about 4 years earlier than that, and I became haunted by the amount of time that she was spending by herself at home. And I thought I wanted to spend more time with her. And also, it would been nice to get out of bed in the morning and not have to stand up and worry about where the next dollar is coming from. So I thought I'll just take the best of all possible worlds, and I'll step back from the day-to-day operation and do the thing that I love the most, which is directing.
The board of directors set out on a nationwide search for a replacement, and we'll go into that next time when we cover the theater's most recent years. Until then, I'm Ralph Mangum, and this has been News You Can Use.
So what do you think?
It's pretty cool, I guess.
Man, I wish I could go back in time.
This is pretty much the worst video ever made.
Napoleon, like anyone can even know that.
That looks pretty sweet.